and Chris Webber start the Final Four with the Bearcats in control, and Nick Van Exel.
Blunt steps to the outside. They don't play a man in the low post, taking up a lot of space there. They want to have a lot of room. That's offense.
He wrapped his arm right around Juwan Howard, and it's called against Cincinnati on the first trip.
But Blunt showed that he's not afraid to put that ball on the floor and make a move. And here comes the press. Matching up with Buford, looking to pick off any long pass.
Jalen Rose doubled up, gets it over to Howard, and a steal right away. Van Exel. He'll shoot two.
Jim Van Exel's had a great NCAA tournament, and what he did there is what he does so well when he penetrates. He used his body to lean in on Howard, who is an excellent shot blocker. But here it is, the first time they turn the ball over on Jalen Rose. Juwan Howard cannot get to it, and here comes quickness. Van Exel takes it right to the hoop. Howard, who's quick for a big man. Now watch this lean in. He takes the ball right into Howard and then makes it impossible for him to block it.
2 for Van Exel. He's a transfer from Trinity Junior College in Texas. He had 22 against Memphis State when they blew out Memphis State in the Midwest Final.
Neither club a solid free throw shooting team. Here's the pickup, trapping off even missed free throws.
Jimmy King.
Straight man to man.
Howard
Nelson
goes inside. Webber. Oh, nice turnaround. Half hook.
And Jim, if Nelson is going to allow Webber to get the ball that low, he has no chance. He's given up about 3 inches and a lot of leaping ability. Notice total movement. Nobody in the low post stationary.
Buford, three-pointer. Webber comes right out of it, and it's stolen away from him. Cincinnati will score for the first time on a slam dunk.
What's made this team so great is their ability to go ahead and press out of any situation. That was a missed field goal, and they were still there to press. Webber's got to learn he cannot put the ball on the floor in that backcourt area against his team.
It's Terry Nelson on the jam, and that ball deflected out of bounds. It belongs to Michigan.
Jim, another thing you've noticed that so far Cincinnati has been able to force Michigan to send the ball down the sidelines. That's exactly what they want. Michigan's got to figure out a way to get the ball to the center of the floor.
Ray Jackson touching it for the first time. Here's Webber out high. Oh, they challenged Howard. He'll take it in the lane, give it up to Webber. Again.
Beautiful half hook. You know, we haven't even seen Chris Webber use that shot very often. Jim, we've covered him a number of times this year. He usually shoots the turnaround jumper or takes it to the hoop for the dunk.
Van Exel uses a screen from Blunt and hits the jumper. He's shooting 67% from outside in the tournament, and after missing the 2 free throws, he redeems himself from the outside.
Here is Jones, an excellent defender, playing in the backcourt, a little more size.
Wide open is Webber. Couple of fakes. Oh, he had 3 players sail in the air, and the last one fouled him.
Pretty good job by Nelson, though, because instead of giving up a dunk, and he said he is not going to give up any dunks to Webber, he puts Webber on the foul line where he has just now gone over the 50% mark as a free throw shooter.
What was it Nelson said? He'll be on the floor before he dunks it if I'm in the area.
He said he'd be looking up at me.
Webber even told me yesterday at practice, he says, I've been reading all this stuff and hearing all week that Cincinnati says I'm not going to be a factor in this game. He's hit a couple of field goals but misses both free throws.
And there it is. You took away 100% opportunity on the dunk, put him on the line, and Michigan comes up with 0. I don't sense any intimidation out here on the part of Michigan against this Cincinnati club.
Three-pointer, bingo for Nick Van Exel.
Jim, not only is he shooting over 60% in the tournament, that started with the great Midwest tournament, so he's on some roll.
Jimmy King comes right back to tie it at 7.
Bob Huggins upset with that. When that ball gets down the corner, he wants not only somebody playing Jimmy King, he'd like to have a double team down there.
Herb Jones, their leading scorer, has not put up a shot so far. Forced it inside perhaps, or Buford wasn't ready for it, and Michigan forces the turnover.
Pretty solid defense by Ray Jackson, who came off that outstanding defensive performance against Jimmy Jackson.
King, he's hit one already. Make it two.
Number one three-point shooter for Michigan.
Michigan is 4 for 4 from the floor at the Final Four. Blunt,
good pass.
Yep, gives it up to Van Exel, and Van Exel now has 7 of Cincinnati's 9 points.
I was surprised Howard didn't go after him on that play.
Rose penetrating and scoring for the first time today.
Jim, he's so tough at 6'8". When he penetrates, he's got that ability to go up with that little leaner left-hander of his.
Our first whistle under 16, an official timeout, game 1 at the national semifinals. Only one missed shot in this game. Cincinnati 4 out of 5, Michigan 5 for 5. Martin has come into the game for Cincinnati, Eric Martin.
Good rub off by Van Exel. He didn't get the ball. Jimmy King cannot afford to allow him to rub off that way.
Van Exel.
He'll beat him.
Oh.
Turned it over. Watch Jalen Rose look over this defense, try to get the ball in the middle somehow.
Oh, tough pass.
That's going for the home run ball too early. Got to flash guys up to the top of the key, get the ball in the middle, and then break down the defense. Van Exel has some quickness on Jimmy King. You know it, Jim?
You've already seen that. He
Yep.
could have fired up a 3 on the last trip where he turned it over. That's out of bounds, belonging to Cincinnati.
Ray Jackson, an excellent defender, and against Jones, who is one of the best post-up players in college basketball, Jackson just beating him to the spot.
Anthony Buford with the ball. He played for Huggins at Akron and then transferred. Played for him for 2 years. Driving and laying it up short. Weber spots the break opportunity, and Jackson lost it. Weber's right there. Blunt pulls it down. Cincinnati wants a break. Buford with Rose shouldering him, and Rose is called for the foul.
Beat the great Jerry Lucas Ohio State teams and had a chance to become the first three-peat college basketball club, and got beat by Loyola in that great overtime game.
And Duke will be trying to duplicate that back-to-back as UCLA last did it in '73, and they'll be playing Indiana later tonight. Jeff Scott has come in for the Bearcats, replacing Blunt, and here comes the pressure.
Well, you can see that Bob Huggins is very confident with that bench of his. He's going to go 9 deep today. He's going to use those fellas quite a bit, and that puts some pressure on Steve Fisher to start thinking about his bench early on in this game.
Howard finds a slashing King, and he is fouled by Jeff Scott, who just entered the game.
If Michigan will get the ball to the center instead of going down the side as they did right there, they're going to be able to go ahead and work very well against this press.
Ray Jackson inbounding. Great defensive player, Billy, and Herb Jones, who he's guarding, has not been a factor so far. Cincinnati's leading scorer. Oh,
good
Rose
steal.
got it right back.
Steal. Now, this is an area on the floor, particularly with Corey Blunt not in the game, where Michigan can take advantage if they can get the game in the paint. Blunt's coming right back in.
Scott's been in the game, Billy, for a minute, and he's already been assessed 2.
Well, I don't think he's got, let's see if he's taken, yeah, he is taking Scott out. I thought maybe that Bob Huggins might try to get big there and play Scott together with Blunt.
Howard, turnaround over Jones.
Oh, look at Van Exel get up.
You said he's quick, Billy. He can leap. Martin coming on a wing, tries to get it over to Jones. Wolverines race ahead. Tough pass. Weber trying to go inside to Howard.
Well, we've seen Chris Weber on the break try to make a play that's not quite the calculated pass you want to make at this stage in the game. It's kind of like Rose's long pass. I mean, it was there, but he didn't have to make it quite so such a fancy play. Now watch the screen off the top. A scissors play, looking to hit the guards down low.
Jones on the baseline. He's doubled up. Weber blocks it out of bounds.
Now Weber will have a little something to say. Jones on the way by. Don't bring that stuff in here.
A little jawing during the warm-ups, Billy.
Well, actually, I'm kind of surprised. They started out in the warm-ups really talking to each other, but they haven't in the game so far.
Nice move by Buford over the taller defender.
Buford averaging a little over 15 a game.
Jimmy King, he'll pull up and nail it. Oh, he's hot at the start. That's a 2 for King, and he's 3 for 3 from the floor, including a couple of threes.
An excellent jump shooter from the outside. He's getting more and more confidence as the year goes on. Well, good change off the pass. Chris Webber was lucky that he got a piece of that one because Martin had an easy layup.
Which freshman will be replaced first? Yeah, and Weber a moment ago telling Cincinnati, what a great picture.
Well, you know,
Bob Fishman telling him to zip it up, guys, telling Cincinnati, I'm sure.
Well, you know, he really has a lot of emotion in the game, Jim, and I think a lot of times it's emotion within himself. He might have been talking to himself, say, let's get back to the game.
Alan Jackson handling the ball in for the first time for Cincinnati. Michael Talley has come in for Michigan, replacing Jalen Rose. Rose, the first freshman to sit. Jones.
Well, he hasn't had any luck taking the ball inside on Jackson, so he shoots from a standstill jumper.
Hit
Good
a
idea.
three. That was a 3. Weber, oh, that got right past 2 Bearcats who could have stolen it.
Well, that pass was intended for Howard. He didn't get his hands up in time, and it went all the way through to Chris Webber, who was on the ball enough to be ready to make the catch. And I thought Steve Fisher would go to that bench, bring some of those experienced players in. It's going to take more than a starting team to win this one.
Second chance opportunity. Stolen away. No, they won't get that chance. Talley will take the middle. Dish it to King.
360.
Followed up by Jackson.
Buford will take it at him.
Oh, Weber. He was trying to draw the charge and he just weaved his way right around him.
Well, Buford now has taken it against Weber. Van Exel has taken it against Howard, so they're not afraid to take it inside, even the guards. Back in. That should be a goaltend. That should be a goaltend. Yes, sir.
They're going to talk about it first. Jim
Yes,
Burr says yes from midcourt. That counts, goaltending and a foul.
Without question, the foul was committed, and what might have happened in that particular case, the minute that the foul was called, Martin might have gone up there not realizing that the play had not ended because it was an obvious goaltend.
2 on Blunt and 2 on Scott. The inside guys for Cincinnati, and they brought in Terrence Gibson. Bob Huggins' first signee. Scott bouncing back off the bench, in for Blunt.
Jim, that could be a real serious problem, and you'd like to be, if you're Bob Huggins, an opportunity to stay as big as possible. You don't want Michigan to be able to play volleyball on that rim.
Officials timeout with 11:58 to go in the first half. The Wolverines by 1.
And it turned out to be the right play, even though it was an accident.
Blistering pace, over 60% for both teams from the floor.
Double low post.
Gibson, good bounce pass inside to Jones.
Smart by Jackson to pick that dribble up and get it backwards. He was going right into the teeth of the trap.
Michael Talley gives it up to Weber.
We got a change in the defense now by Cincinnati. They're playing a matchup zone and trapping out of that. Oh,
Howard,
beautiful.
great move. He never caught it. He just tapped it over to Weber, who has 8. But Juwan Howard to Weber, and Wolverines lead by 3.
Jim, in that zone, Cincinnati is very, very small. Jones is listed at 6'5". He's probably closer to 6'3". The guards are small now, and Martin's 6'5". so Michigan can throw right over the top of the zone.
Martin got it right back.
Hey, can you believe Cincinnati taking it to him on the boards?
Talley makes the fake. Oh, good rejection by Jackson, Alan Jackson. Gibson on the wing. Oh, Scott could be, yep, Scott's a hit with his third. Jeff Scott.
Now they're really going to be small because Nelson, you can't afford to put Blunt back into the game. He's got 2. So now Nelson comes in to be the tallest player on the floor. This is going to be a very difficult couple of minutes for Bob Huggins' club.
That's 6 team fouls. You see Terry Nelson back in, the team comedian at Cincinnati.
And Steve Fisher has not yet had to use Eric Riley, so he could get even bigger if he wants to go to the bench.
Howard, jumper.
Just
Followed up
big.
by Rose.
Jim, they're too big with this lineup on the floor.
Van Exel has come back in at the point.
Now you say on the other end of the floor, why not create a mismatch? The problem, Nelson not a scorer.
Talley pushed off. His first, team foul number 3.
See, they're just playing right over the top now. Good block out by Nelson, but no way for the small guards to handle Rose, who's 6'8", playing at the guard position. Bob Huggins' worst nightmare, get his big people where he was going to have a problem matching up anyway in such early foul trouble.
Van Exel, 3-pointer. Weber now with 4 rebounds.
See what else is tough now with Talley, King, and Rose in the game. They have 3 ball handlers.
Talley, oh, what a nice move that is. Talley, who has really been one guy frustrated by the curtailed playing time. He has started some this season, getting some minutes here and looking good.
Jimmy had a great game against Indiana this year. 3 for 4 threes. He had 15 points in the game. Obviously a guy who knows what starting's all about. He was there at Michigan in the past.
Almost stole it, did Talley. And
King
punched up ahead to King. Jones, oh, he's lucky. Van Exel hustled also. Jones takes it into the second row of photographers. Buford, 3-pointer. That ends a 9-0 run by Michigan.
Well, Cincinnati really needed that play, and you just think it could have gone the other way because Michigan just was an inch or so away from being able to have a layup.
Yeah, Van Exel really made a play there, coming back down, Billy.
Now watch this. They're trying to match up a little bit. Nice play by Martin.
Martin denying. Jones on the break. And they'll shoot 2. Herb Jones, great hustle, but also trailing was Van Exel.
Well, Jim, he probably should have taken that ball with him out of bounds because by tapping it back in, Michigan had 2 men there. If it had not been a big play by Van Exel, Michigan has an easy layup. He'd have been better off just taking it with him. Here comes Riley. Now, here's where Michigan really has an advantage. Out goes Howard, in comes an even bigger Riley, and we know how well he played in the NCAA tournament in the key win over Oklahoma State.
Had his best numbers of the season in that game. 15 points, 10 rebounds. Jimmy King was hit with the foul, and Jones will shoot 1 more. Top junior college in the country in 1990 out of Butler Junior College in Kansas. And Jones, the shooter, comes out. Gibson returns. They call Terrence Gibson instant defense. You often hear instant offense as a nickname. I remember Benny Anders used to be known as that.
But really, you know, Steve Fisher doing something here that I think is very smart. He's got 3 guards really in the game right now, 2 big men on the inside. Here's that 2-3 matchup. So he's got a lot of good ball handling.
Grazed off the fingertips of Cincinnati. Michigan has it.
The other thing he gets is both King and Jalen Rose playing, in effect, wing positions are going to be dangerous rebounders.
8:33 to go in the first half. Michigan 25, Cincinnati 23. The winner plays Monday in the championship game. Rose goes through the defenders. Oh.
He is so good at that jump stop, jump shot as he penetrates. You know, you're coming right at the basket. It's very difficult to have any good perception on that shot. Normally it's hit off the back of the rim, but he's perfect with it. Riley on Nelson. He can afford to drop out and help block some shots here. He knows Nelson's not looking for his shot.
Van Exel fired it inside. Nelson able to get it back. Oh, a hold against Weber.
Now Martin has got a quick first step. He's an excellent leaper on the second jump, and he just went right to Chris Weber.
That's the first against Weber. Team foul number 5.
Well, see how quick Martin was with that first step. Weber lays out.
An official's timeout. The second game of our doubleheader.
Again, look at how small this club is on the floor right now for Cincinnati. Nelson and Martin are going to have to get it done inside. Buford actually playing a forward spot.
Foul outside on Ray Jackson. You said Martin and Nelson would have to do it inside. They're both 6'5", Billy. They're the biggest players on the court right now for Cincinnati.
As I said, Buford's lined up now with Jackson. That helps Michigan a little bit in the fact that they get their best defender on the most dangerous player out there now.
First on Jackson. Each team has committed 6 team fouls, so 1 away from the bonus.
Cincinnati showing good patience here, Jim, occupying the clock, making the bigger Michigan team have to really work on defense.
Martin steps past Weber.
That could be a huge call. That's going to be Riley that went down. They're going to call him for getting over underneath. Basket counts. This is an excellent move by Martin. He goes right by, and that official was all over it, Jim. Riley just, he did not have position.
I was surprised how easy it was to get past Weber. He had one quick dart, and he was on his way to a 3-point opportunity.
Well, I talked about that explosive move he made on Weber just a time or two ago. Chris is going to have to sit down to play Martin. And the press stays on, pulling that zone out a little bit. They've got the break.
This will tie it at 27. Terrence Gibson with the layup.
Excellent job by Bob Huggins' club.
A 9-2 run for the Bearcats. And a foul on Martin, who pushed off. Talley will be the shooter. He'll shoot a 1-and-1. And had a struggle against Xavier. He said, had I lost the Xavier game, I never would have been the coach. Never would have hired me. Juwan Howard has come in for Michigan. On this 9-2 run and looking to take the lead. Buford. Oh, what a tip.
That's Martin. See how quickly he gets up on that second leap?
And Gibson gives the Bearcats the lead.
Martin is really playing great basketball. Talley's got to go backwards with this ball some. Here comes the trap.
Ray Jackson. He was hit with the body by Martin. Jackson at the line for 2.
Jim, the guy that's really doing it for Cincinnati is Eric Martin. He was a co-MVP with Blunt in junior college. He hasn't had any great number type games, but he's very solid, and today he's showing what he can do inside, and they really need him with both Scott and Blunt on the bench.
Again, a teammate, as Billy mentioned, of Corey Blunt at Rancho Santiago Junior College.
And he gets it alive again.
Yep. 1-point lead for Cincinnati and possession.
Michigan has been thrown out of sync with this press.
Martin again getting past Weber. Short on off the glass.
And that was Blunt that was up there to keep the ball alive.
Offensive. They got him with the elbow. Howard.
One of the things that Bob Huggins has done with the press is that can attack you at any time. It attacks on missed shots, it attacks on made shots, Mr. Made foul shots. Now watch this right here. They stay right with the press. Normally, and a good call by the official, normally a team would break down at that point and get back on defense, but Cincinnati keeps it right in your face. The Michigan players are going to have to get used to that, throw the ball backwards, get in the hands of their guards as quickly as they can.
That's 2 on Juwan Howard. Herb Jones back in for Cincinnati. That ball deflected by Jimmy King, who was defending the inbounds pass. Jackson will dunk it home for a 1-point Michigan lead.
Much smarter play by Weber. Just make the good fundamental two-handed chest pass to the following Jackson. Van Exel really posts up well, but he's just not getting him the ball on his cuts.
King knocked it out of his hands. The first sentence of the preseason media guide at the University of Cincinnati says,
no more talking.
No more talking.
They've been warned about the talking.
So Jim, we thought this would be the game of the great debate. It hasn't been quite as physical as I anticipated, but there is a lot of jabbering and a nice piece of officiating there to say, hey, let's play the game.
Riley in for Weber.
Man-to-man out of bounds.
Buford missing. 2 Bearcats fight for it. Oh, and Van Exel let Howard pick it up.
And here comes trapping
But
again.
he read that one all the way. Van Exel.
Jalen Rose starting to get annoyed, I think, out here in the fact that he's not had the ball in his hands, which is exactly what Cincinnati wanted to do to this club. There he is. Get the ball back out to the man that can get something accomplished. Check out the defense, matching up in the zone.
Oh, they deny it again and take it away. Martin will wait.
Not good spacing there, Jim. Jalen threw that ball from so far out in the low post against quicker people.
Buford, beautiful for Buford.
Now that's a young man from Flint, Michigan that wasn't recruited by one Big Ten school. He's got a little bit to prove today.
So Wisconsin sent him a letter, but no one really showed him any interest. Rose, short, and Jones has it. Oh, not for long. Ray Jackson right back for Michigan. Rose missing, Riley saving, no, on the line. Television timeout under 4. 31-30, Cincinnati.
5 turnovers, so they're right on target. And what they've also been able to do with the press is keep the ball out of Jalen Rose's hands so that they can't get working in the paint against Cincinnati's team that is much smaller.
I was about to say before, their media guide started the season by saying this is a team that's an unknown entity, and that certainly has been the case. They're still unknown somewhat, even at the Final Four. Van Exel. That was very smooth, wasn't it?
He's on a roll.
Yes,
He let Jimmy King know that he just faked him out and got that jumper off. Not a good place to pick up your dribble.
They said there was contact from Buford.
Jim, against a press, and you know where the pressure points are going to be, just as you cross half court. So if you're Jalen Rose, you cannot pick up your dribble at that spot because you have no alternative then. Howard was coming to him, but he didn't have a good position.
First on Buford, team foul number 9, so it's a 1-and-1 for Juwan Howard.
Played his big offensive game of the year against Indiana this year. Solid defender.
Remember how we speculated had Eric Montross signed with Michigan instead of North Carolina and followed in his father's footsteps? May it perhaps altered the future Fab Five signing? I talked to Howard about that. He says, yeah, probably would have altered my decision to come to Michigan.
And then who knows what would have happened, Jim?
Weber in for the shooter.
Because Howard was the catalyst that brought Weber and Rose, King, and Jackson.
He was the first to sign. He signed in November of '90. before his senior season in high school.
Jones playing way out on top. It looks like they're going to try to get Buford and Van Exel the ball. Nice.
Oh, nice teamwork. Passing in the paint and back to a 3-point lead.
Well, when Cincinnati was destroyed by Indiana earlier in the year, another trap.
And Van Exel, great pass to Jones, right over
Oh,
Riley.
sensational play.
Largest lead of the day for Cincinnati.
There's Rose picking the ball up. Boy, they have really taken Michigan out of their half-court set.
Van Exel with a push-off. And there are a few words exchanged with King and Van Exel.
See, right there is the trapping point. Michigan's running exactly into the area that Cincinnati likes, and you start talking about an incredible catch and put back by Herb Jones. Watch this. He goes right over the top, puts it back up the right hand. Beautiful play.
First foul against Nick Van Exel, so number 10 on Cincinnati. So that means a double bonus situation. 2 free throws for Jimmy King.
Jim, if Michigan's going to offset the press, they cannot get themselves to cross half-court area right in the corners and get the double team just as Cincinnati wants. They've got to get the ball to the center of the floor and not be so anxious to attack the press. Make the press work at least one pass.
Jimmy King, Mr. Texas basketball last year in high school out of Plano, and he hits them both to cut the lead to 3. 10 for King.
Jimmy King right now has his hands full with Van Exel, is as hot as any guard in the tournament.
And he's trying another 3, but Weber, big time rebound. His 5th. And Jackson led Rose too much.
Cincinnati's #1 piece of strategy when we talk to Bob Huggins is to keep it out of Rose's hands, and they have done a great job of that in this first half. Very unselfish team is Cincinnati.
Huggins been coaching for 10 years, said it's the most unselfish group he's ever had. Good pass by Van Exel, baseline, easy shot for Terry Nelson.
Nelson is not going to look to score often. That's about his range in the jumper, but he doesn't take bad shots.
But again, it was Van Exel with the assist. Not only scoring, but setting up his teammates as well.
You notice when they get a trap, they don't necessarily give up on it. Here it comes. Buford stays right with the trap.
King could set up a break for the Bearcats.
They have taken Michigan right out of the game with the trap.
Oh, and Rose was just planted, and they went right by him.
Jim, we wondered if there would ever be a cracking point for these freshmen. They're seeing a type of game that they have not seen. They do not control the tempo of this game, nor the way it is to be played, and it's really thrown them off stride.
Herb Jones dunk makes it a 7-point margin. King in and out. Weber on the follow. Oh, missed the layup. Riley's there, however.
Well, when the ball gets down in the paint, where Michigan wants it, they can score.
Final minute of the first half.
They're going to hold for 1. Good job.
Michigan had gone 4.5 minutes without a field goal before that shot by Riley.
How about Buford telling everybody what to do? What a leader out here.
They call him coach.
Yep.
And he has the ball now, Buford. It's a 14-second differential, as you can see.
Think they'd like to see Herb Jones get that ball down the low post, or just a clear out?
Jones driving.
2 seconds.
2 seconds on the shot clock. They reset it as it goes out of bounds to 5.
Well, and the thing, Jim, is going to be interesting here. I think they've got time for Van Exel clearing out.
We see Vasco come in for Michigan.
And Steve Fisher did a wise thing, reminding his club that it is back to 5 seconds. Look for Van Exel to rub off here.
Nelson right back to the inbounds passer, Martin.
Back to 5.
Yeah. They're going to get the last shot of the half if they keep up at this pace.
I was looking for a rub off, get Van Exel for the jumper and a side, but now he's taking the ball out of bounds. It's for Buford.
3-pointer. Oh. Tipped by Nelson. Nelson almost got it for a second time. And Weber up ahead.
Oh, Jim, there's no. There is no way. happened all the time. Is that possible that they had that much time?
Yep. Pretty good effort from three-quarter court, too.
Those 5 seconds extra helped Michigan.
We saw Chris Webber, 10 points, 6 rebounds in the first 20 minutes. This man with the ball, Jalen Rose, has had some big second halves this year. Look out for him in the final 20 minutes.
And for Bob Huggins, he can bring Corey Blunt back in. He kept him on the bench a long time with those 2 quick fouls. Scott on the bench with 3, but he dodged that bullet very well.
Juwan Howard. Buford saves it to Blunt.
That was just the quickness of Buford. Weber was in excellent position for the offensive board and couldn't complete.
Van Exel faked as though he was going to alley-oop it and drove right past his man to draw the foul.
Jim Van Exel's been too quick for anybody on the Michigan team. Here we see those stats, and Michigan shooting 58% and finding themselves behind in the game. But there's the reason why. They've turned the ball over, and those turnovers have really led to the difference in this ball game.
Billy, that was the 3rd foul against Juwan Howard. 2-shot situation. Van Exel will have one more. He is the Nintendo champion on this team in the Super Technical Bowl. They take it with them, Billy, on the road. Play that computer game, and he was the champ this year.
See, here's what's interesting, how that trap will jump right back at you. Here they are back into their matchup zone, looking to get an opportunity to trap out of it, and there's another turnover. Steve Fisher beside himself. He's going to go back with Talley and try to play the 3-guard set.
There he is, Talley for King.
Now King started this game hitting 3 real solid jumpers down in the wings where you want to have some shots available. This is going to free up Rose maybe to play that position some, because Talley will have the ball.
Tried the old.
That's a pretty good idea by Van Exel. It's just that Blunt didn't move to the basket.
Yeah, pick and roll not working that time. 7th turnover for Cincinnati.
I mean, there was the pick, there was just no roll. Every pass by Michigan seems to be one without any authority on it. There's a good 2-handed chest pass, and that sets up a play.
Herb Jones. 6'4", shortest man on the front line, but their top rebounder.
Well, everybody from the Cincinnati club is quick getting off the floor. Jones, we saw Eric Martin. This man right here, Anthony Buford.
Jones, 3-pointer. Blunt better be careful. Almost over the back of Howard.
You notice how Michigan didn't look to get that ball quickly up the floor, taking away some of their confidence on transition.
Oh, he read that one perfectly. Herb Jones.
Jim, no authority on the passing. Steve Fisher may have to go back to that starting lineup because Cincinnati has taken Jalen Rose out of this game. They're again picking up the dribble in the bad spot.
Talley.
Watch this cross-court passing against a team like Cincinnati, going to get you in all kinds of problems. The ball has got to somehow get to the center of the floor.
Comes Jimmy King. That last foul on Anthony Buford. His 2nd.
Jim, this is the lineup that I think can best work for Michigan. They can go ahead now and put Talley in the center, Rose and King on the wings, and still have enough power inside with Weber and Howard if they never get in a half-court set. Weren't you impressed with Buford yesterday when we had a chance to talk to him? I mean, he's just an articulate guy, has his head on straight. You can see why he provides such great leadership for this team.
He told us when we met with him, Billy, I've got a feeling that Michigan is going to be looking past us.
Oh, they try to set up Jones over here on the backdoor cut. Pretty good job by Rose.
Buford takes the pick. Nelson wasn't ready for it. 2-on-2 with Rose, the trigger man.
He didn't know.
What a block by Blunt.
He didn't know Blunt was behind him.
Van Exel blows right by Weber.
Gave a little hesitation dribble and Weber bit on it.
King, they need the three.
You can see the Michigan players getting a little annoyed with each other, Jim.
Howard, he'll shoot two.
Look at some of the expressions on the faces of the Michigan kids. And maybe more than expression. First time we've seen this in this team. Going back to that Indiana game where they played so positively. Of course, in the tournament. Now they're starting to question themselves.
You can see that. You're right, Billy. 2 for Howard. That was the second foul on Terry Nelson. Billy, I want to tell a story about this young man signing with Michigan. We talked about it earlier. He was raised by his grandmother, Janie Howard, and she had to sign his letter of intent. He made the decision on November the 14th of 1990 before he went to school. 8 o'clock in the morning. She told him after he signed, "You made the right decision going to Michigan." He said, "Grandmother, why didn't you tell me that all along?" She said, "You're going to need to make some decisions." As Weber follows up, "You're going to need to make some decisions one day on your own." Later that afternoon, while Howard was at school, his grandmother passed away of a heart attack.
And there is Chris Weber taking a page out of Duke's book. He slaps the ground defensively and said, "Guys, let's get into this thing." Martin, who really turned things around for Cincinnati back in the game.
Blunt, he's put the ball on the floor a few times in this half.
There's
What
Martin.
a tip by Martin.
An explosive leaper.
Well, he's much bigger than 6'5".
Oh!
I didn't see that.
Well, it was Talley pushing off against Jones. 3 men around the ball. Talley's got a hit ahead.
Second on Talley. Thought it might be a reach-in on Jones.
See right here, he pushes Jones out of the way. No question about it.
Perfect replay to prove it. We'll be right back. Officials timeout.
Well, not only is it turning the ball over, but in the second half, Michigan's just 1 for 6, shooting 17%. They've been able to get into no semblance of an offensive set on half court. They'd like to have Martin with Chris Weber one-on-one.
Weber was saying it was off his forehead, off of Martin's forehead, but Hightower was there, and it's Cincinnati basketball.
Weber must have Martin by a solid 4 inches, but he's given up an awful lot of quickness on that first move that Martin puts on him. See if they try to take advantage of it. There he is.
21.
Terrence Gibson back in for Cincinnati. Van Exel gives it back to Martin. Ball touched the back of the board. It's a turnover.
Now, what Bob Huggins is saying is that the ball was hit when it went up in the air off Martin's hand, and consequently, it should be Cincinnati ball. And that's what they're going to call. Everything going Cincinnati's way right now. You see the play. Van Exel makes the good dump. Good play by Weber. He'll go up. Now, see, the ball was hit by Weber before it hit the stanchion behind, so it's an excellent call.
Shot clock is under 10.
Now we're down to the 5, and Jim, I'm going to go back to halftime. There is, what, 15-12 left in the game and not just the 5 seconds?
That's what you meant by
There
it.
we
Wait a
go.
minute.
There we go.
Van Exel.
Van Exel gets hit, and that's going to be a three foul shots coming up on this one. It's a 3-point shot.
Talley got him. It's Talley's third personal.
You know, really, Van Exel in this particular game and throughout the NCAA tournament where he has been so outstanding is probably as fine, if not the best guard play of anybody in the tournament so far this year. Has put the speed level at a level that Michigan can't handle right now. He's going by people. creating a lot of mismatches.
Struggling today from the line. Remember, he opened missing his first two. He's now 1 for 5. He did not, Nick Van Exel did not start the season at guard. In fact, not until some 14 games into the year did he replace Alan Jackson as the starting point.
But they're 18-1 since they made that move. And, you know, in talking to Bob Huggins about it, said it was just a matter of time. And he makes them tough to defend.
Match their largest lead, 7-point lead. King trims it right away to 4 with that three-pointer.
King is drilling his outside shots today, and a perfect man to set down in that low wing position. Back screen on Weber. Motion offense right here by Cincinnati.
Bounce pass to the corner. Van Exel gets himself some operating room, missed the layup. Weber snaps it out to Talley. Goes behind the back to take the middle. Right into the arms of Howard.
Good break for Michigan. Jim, you notice how little Jalen Rose is touching the ball. Cincinnati could not have planned it better.
Almost invisible in the second half.
See, Talley's got the ball a lot. Once he breaks that press, he should get it back to Rose.
3 players around Jones. Was lucky to get that one out. Martin thought about popping the jumper. Now spins around Weber. And Blunt's going to be over the back.
Number 3 for Blunt. Huggins will probably let him go. He's got Scott on the bench, who was not particularly effective in the first half. Picked up 3 quick ones himself.
Well, a moment ago, it was 50-43. Now 50-48. Michigan can tie it or even take the lead on this possession.
Well, Michigan has to figure out a way to get the ball over half court and then get into their offense in the low post. They have not been able to do that the entire game.
Jimmy King.
Still haven't.
Rose able to race that one down. Rose wants it back.
See that 2-3 matchup zone causing all kinds of problems.
How about Van Exel? Stripped it right out of his jump shot.
He's going all the way. And Jim, you look up at the scoreboard and you have a feeling Cincinnati in total control of this game, but that hasn't been the case. There's Van Exel coming from behind, just as Blunt did a time or two ago, being able to make the block from behind.
Van Exel taking the ball out of the hands of Rose. Jalen Rose. As we see Bosco back in. That was the 4th on Talley, so he'll sit.
And what this also means that with Voskuhl in, he and Jimmy King will play the wings, and Rose now will be required to handle the ball.
So after making the steal from Rose off the shot, Van Exel will shoot 2. Too bad these two couldn't have played on the same team. Could you imagine that rock and roll backcourt of Exel Rose and Van Jalen?
It's a reach.
You said I'd never go up with it.
And here they are.
16 for Van Exel, and Jones working on Rose on this trip.
Yeah, notice that try to wait till he gets over half court before they trap him. Here they come.
Soft touch by Weber. Back to a 2-point lead for Cincinnati.
And if Cincinnati gets in a game where they're trading baskets half court at a time, then it swings the balance back over to Michigan. Cincinnati needs to turn them over some. Jalen Rose will have his hands full with Van Exel's quickness. Double low post.
Jones missing over the 2 Giants. Voskuhl. Long rebound sets up the break for the Bearcats. Voskuhl from behind gets the steal.
Good hustle by Voskuhl.
This could tie it. Howard's blocked by Blunt. Oh, his second big one of the half. Van Exel.
Jimmy King forgot Van Exel was a left-hander. He just gave him a little shoulder fake and came back to his strong hand. One of the few times today that Michigan has gotten the ball where it needs to go, right onto the foul line area, and then dumped down inside.
Rose 3 out of 9 so far. Tip, I guess. Oh, Voskuhl. I thought the first tip was going in. I was going to give him credit for it with 2 players in the area. But
Weber was doing a good job using his body to shield everybody out. Voskuhl couldn't deliver. See the shot. Now watch Weber on the inside. He's got everybody blocked out. He had a perfect situation for Voskuhl and might have blocked it a little bit himself.
Van Exel with his second foul, and Voskuhl to the line for 2, Billy. He's an aerospace engineering major at Michigan, as we see Scott with 3 fouls back in for Blunt. Voskuhl had a class on Monday, the day after the overtime game against Ohio State, where he had to give an oral presentation on laminar versus turbulent boundary layers flowing over a rotating football. 10-minute speech. I would have loved to have heard the conclusion.
Had big games, you know, Memphis State hit 22, 8 for 11 in that game. Had 18 in the first game against Delaware, so it's not like we're seeing something today he hasn't been doing every game in this NCAA tournament.
Here he is, dumping it inside to Buford, who's doubled up. Voskuhl now comes off of him.
Giving Cincinnati some of their own medicine there with a double team in the corner.
Buford spinning over Voskuhl. That was a force.
I think he thought he could take Voskuhl, had a little bit too much quickness on him.
Outside, a foul, a reach in on Van Exel, and that's his 3rd. Team foul number 5.
Now,
actually, that goes against Buford, and that's Buford's 3rd. So Buford has 3, Van Exel has 2.
And here's a lineup that Bob Huggins goes to, takes Buford out of the game, and goes with his 2 big men. So this is the biggest lineup he can put on the floor. Scott and Blunt out there. You got 2 6'10ers on the floor, so Cincinnati becomes relatively big inside. See if this takes away any of their defense. Still playing that matchup zone and trapping out of it.
Howard passes to Weber. Blunt snags the rebound.
Excellent quick leap that time by Martin to make Weber's shot tougher.
Outside, Blunt surprising everyone, and the rebound to Rose.
Jim, the worst thing you can do in basketball is take a bad shot because your teammates don't know it's going up and they're not in position to rebound.
And it sets up that right there. It sets up a break that ties it. Jalen Rose now totaling 8 points in the game. Under 10 minutes to go. First game at the Final Four.
I'm not saying that Blunt can't make that shot, but nobody anticipated it. So nobody was there to go ahead and have good defensive block, offensive rebounding to get any rebound for it. Michigan was off to the races.
Martin, oh, tough angle.
How about his hands?
Oh, what an ankle.
Great
Almost
hand.
impossible. He has 8 off the bench.
With the 2 big guys in the game, Jim, the traps have not been that effective.
Weber turns around, way short. On 1 bounce, Martin has the rebound. Alan Jackson back in. He handles the ball now for the Bearcats. In the backcourt along with Van Exel.
Well, that allows Van Exel to play number 2 guard, Jackson handling the ball.
Don't think I've ever seen a point guard with the number 52.
Well, you've seen guards. Don't guards sometimes have 52 in football?
Oh, offensive guards, yeah, right.
Michigan matches up with this team pretty good defensively.
I'm not sure Jackson's aware of it. Under 5 on the shot clock.
Lost his dribble.
Has to force it. Back to Martin.
Oh, Vasco, nice job.
Jimmy King.
That's a tough foul right there. Now Buford and Van Exel both got some foul problems. They both have 3 on them.
Jones and Nelson, 2 starters back in for Martin and Scott. Weber's out for Michigan and Riley back in.
And you can see that Bob Huggins gave a try to play both big men at one time, but their pressure defense really fell when they had that lineup out there. Now they come back with a arrested Nelson. And of course Herb Jones on the floor too.
Buford comes in for Van Exel.
Now you can see what he's doing here too. He doesn't want Van Exel, who's got that great quickness and is having the hot day offensively, to pick up that 4th foul with 8 minutes to go. So you probably hold him out for 2 or 3 minutes here.
King ties it at 56. A little more than 8 minutes to go.
You know, there's been an ebb and flow to this game, Jim. You feel now that Michigan's gaining a little confidence, and they haven't been turned over in a while.
Buford bounces it inside. Jones turnaround. Howard had position on the rebound. His 6th. Jalen. Bosco. Tied it up. Arrow belongs to the Bearcats. That's the under 8-minute timeout on the floor. What a game to start out Super Saturday. Brad Nessler and Ann Myers calling the women's championship game. Mary Carrillo will be there as well.
Jim, this is a tough game to figure out. Tie score, you've got a situation, turnovers favoring the Cincinnati club. Rebounds, Michigan's leading 35-22 on the boards. Cincinnati has not been out-rebounded so far in the tournament. They're getting destroyed in there today, but they still find themselves tied.
Another rebound for the Wolverines. Riley, and Rose almost committed himself to a backcourt violation. Caught himself in midair.
Nice job by Vasco to take that ball into the center. And there's that zone matchup.
Howard picks up the loose change, and Michigan has a 2-point lead with 7 minutes to go.
That's the 2nd time in this half Howard has been the recipient of, in effect, a lucky play inside to score.
An 8-2 run for Michigan. Tough pass, Buford.
You can see some confidence building for the Michigan team. Those grimaces that were on their face midway through the first half are giving way now to look good, solid performance.
Offensive foul on Riley, pushing off for position, his 2nd. Eric Martin has come back in, Billy. Let's keep an eye on him for Cincinnati.
Well, he and Jones make it tough down inside because they're so good in low post.
3-pointer. Martin
again.
Gives him the 2nd chance. Buford in the lane. On the hands, Rose with the foul, his 2nd.
Well, Buford talked about going down to the city of Detroit. He's from Flint, Michigan, playing an awful lot of Summer League ball. Rose, of course, a player that's played so much Summer League basketball, and that AAU basketball that they've both played and gained a great deal of experience.
Weber coming back in. Buford said he's been hearing where Weber says they played together in some of those Summer League games. I don't remember him. He said, now, you've got to remember Chris Weber if you've ever been in a game with him. But Buford has played for a national champion before, 1986 and 87. He was on the national AAU champion team from Michigan with Derek Coleman, Mark Macon, Anderson Hunt, Doug Smith, and Steve Smith. How about that team?
I don't like that team. I mean, how can you put that group of guys together and not win it?
Really?
All the rest are in the pros.
I thought you were going to say you don't like that team. You love that team.
I guarantee you. Bosco putting the ball on the floor a lot.
Buford has tied it at 58, nearing the 5:30 mark. Bosco showing confidence, score the basket, and he'll shoot one.
Jim, you hit it right on the head. He has come into this game with a confidence that the other players are starting to pick up on. And we're talking about a man that was a starter at the beginning of this year. And one of the real tributes to Steve Fisher's coaching has been the fact that the fellas that were unseated as former starters on this club have really stayed on the bench with a positive attitude. Riley, we saw get his chance against Oklahoma State and deliver. Voskuhl is delivering today.
Three-point play and a three-point lead for Michigan. Van Exel with his 4th foul.
And I would say this time down the floor, get Van Exel into it somehow. He's been too quick for Michigan when he's touched it.
In a jam, Buford had it blocked. Bosco gets it out of the trap to Rose.
Beautiful.
Here we go, Wolverines now, gaining confidence.
Bob Huggins said, I've seen enough for the moment.
Timeout, Cincinnati.
Van Exel's the man that they've got to give an opportunity to score for.
5 minutes to go. Michigan by 5.
He's setting screens on the inside.
Terrence Gibson.
Good defense and good patience. Here he is. Just too much size in there.
Loose ball tied up, belongs to Michigan. The arrow belongs to the Wolverines.
Well, Bob Huggins got it to the man that he wanted to have that ball, but Van Exel had to make too many moves to get inside, and then there was so much size in his way.
Michigan's turnovers in the second half, well, they had to get back into it, down 7 at one time.
Well, I think one of the keys to that, Jim, has been attitude. Instead of trying to make huge plays, long passes, they're now starting to get more solid.
Reach in by Jones. His first, team foul number 8. It'll be a 1-and-1. I saw those shots of Chris Webber, and it reminded me of the Oklahoma State game, Billy, where he fouled out. And he was so intense on the bench, trying to cheer his teammates on to advance to the next round, and they tagged him with the nickname ML Carr. And a couple of times he almost hurt some teammates, grabbing him by the neck, coming off the court in excitement, trying to get him pumped up. Here's Buford back in.
They promised him that would not be his last game, and of course there was nothing he could do about it sitting over there on the bench in that foul trouble, but his teammates came through for him.
His roommate at the line, Rose, told him, don't worry about it. You've not played your last game of the season. We're going to win it. And they did win that game. And then they won in overtime against Ohio State. And today they've come back from 7 down in the second half. This free throw could put them ahead 7.
And Jim, getting down to crunch time, it's interesting that of all people, Isaiah Thomas talked to this Michigan bunch and said, there's Voskuhl again coming up with a big play. But Isaiah talked to this club one time and said the last 2 minutes are where the game is played with the heart. And this team is getting down to that point right now and showing a lot of it. And I think right here, if they're looking for a MVP of this game today for Michigan, it's been Voskuhl off the bench. And again, a tribute to Fisher. He just kept playing with the parts of his puzzle until he finally found one that would work.
Blunt was assessed his 4th. Voskuhl will shoot one more. Blunt with 4, Van Exel with 4. And Scott comes back in for the Bearcats.
The Great Midwest Conference puts a team in the Final Four in its first year in existence. You have to go all the way back to 1977 when UNC Charlotte went from the Sun Belt.
That was the last year Cincinnati was in the tournament before this year. They were Al McGuire and Marquette's first victim in their championship run in the '77 tournament. They had not played in the tournament in 15 years.
And had beaten Marquette that year in regular season, but not when it really counted.
Jones, a much-needed three. Oh, how clutch was that?
Good step out by Jones. Everybody had been cutting to the basket, and the low post was well covered.
Cuts it to 4, under 4 to go.
See, what Bosco's doing is penetrating and taking the ball back to the middle. And look at the difference between his passes and the floaters that have been thrown by King and Rose.
They reached in, Buford forced the steal, they get it back ahead to him. Bosco, obvious basket interference. It's a 2-point game. Michigan by 2, 65-63.
Jim, how about the smart play by Buford? He looks back behind him to see if there's anybody coming before he makes the play. There's another floating pass. That'll get you in deep trouble.
Timeout, Michigan.
Michigan called the timeout. They had a quick double or triple team on Bosco at midcourt, so timely indeed for Steve Fisher, leading by 2. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining.
Jim, one of the things we have to think about the rest of this way is free throw shooting. Neither one of these teams are good free throw shooting clubs, both at 65%. But one key factor is that Cincinnati will be shooting 2 on the next foul. Boy, there's a lot of passes that don't have zip on them, and that's what a trap would like to pick off. Matchup zone again. Laying back a little bit, not coming out the trap.
Bosco, 3-pointer.
Oh, man. No way. Bob Huggins says, how can you let that man open? Remember the first game we did, Michigan and Duke? At that point, Steve Fisher said he's our best perimeter shooter. And here we are, almost a whole season has passed, and he comes to the front. Reach.
Jimmy King, reached in. His second and the 7th against the Wolverines. So a 1-and-1.
Well, on the matchup zone, the last time down for Cincinnati, and Bob Huggins are really on his club. They were very passive, not trapping aggressively like they did in that first half when they had Michigan completely confused.
Corey Blunt. He was Basketball Times Junior College Player of the Year last year.
But he's this year a 55% free throw shooter.
6'10" center, 1-and-1. Oh, big one.
Line driver. And there is the comedian on the team who finds nothing funny at this point in the game.
Terry Nelson, that is. One more for Blunt. (68-64). Maize and blue. King. Weber crashes, comes back out to King.
And Steve Fisher is screaming to his play keep away. He wants the ball. Oh, almost picked off by Buford. He wants to force that trapping defense to get spread out so you can make a pass.
Martin fouling Howard. 3 on Martin. Team foul number 9, so 1-and-1 for Howard.
Foul is charged number 3, Eric Martin, his 3rd, team's 10th.
I mean, make that 10 team fouls, and that is important because instead of
sure is.
If it was 9, it would be a 1-and-1 now, and with it being 10 team fouls, it's a 2-shot situation.
Jim, I often think for teams that are not good free throw shooting clubs, that's really important to know that you've got another one coming. Gives you that little bit of confidence.
Tremendous advantage on the boards for the Wolverines.
As I said before, Cincinnati had out-rebounded every opponent in this tournament coming into today.
Hit them both. Michigan by 6.
Well, they've got the Fab Four and one out here now.
The one being Voskuhl. Ray Jackson, the freshman that's not in there now. Buford, three-pointer.
Beautiful arch. Beautiful arch on that shot.
You liked it all the way. Jones hit one a moment ago. Now Buford cuts the lead in half to 3.
With Cincinnati gambling with an easy basket.
Instant defense, Terrence Gibson, number 10. Now coming in on Voskuhl, in for the Bearcats.
And they're back to the man-to-man pressure here. Tough shot by Jalen Rose.
What a save by King. And a foul against Cincinnati. That was a tough shot by Rose. He almost got it, though.
Yeah, he took on the challenge from Anthony Buford. Probably not a smart move on his part, and got lucky as Jimmy King, his freshman teammate, comes up with a sensational save. There's the tough shot. You'll see King go flying out of bounds and get a piece of it.
And watch Buford, number 23, come over and commit his 5th. He reached in and he has fouled out. They'll miss his leadership with 1:27 to go.
Jim, they still have him on the floor, so it must have been his 4th.
Okay, no, all right. Thank you, stand corrected. Buford is in there.
Well,
They had originally announced, our guy Mike Swanson heard the original announcement. They corrected it. I missed that.
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
5 now. They've got to be thinking, get a 2-point possession, and let's see if they do anything different. Get a 2, you still got time enough to go for the 3-point shot later. Van Exel takes the 3.
They have position underneath.
That was Martin that got a hand on it. Now they're going for 3s.
Buford, gave it up at the last minute. Jones. Weber ahead.
Good passing.
Back to King, there it is.
Just as Christian Leitner, Jim, said last week, the catch was the most important thing. Weber looked that ball right in his hands and made the great catch on that play.
Out of bounds, belonging to Cincinnati. 7-point lead with 43 seconds remaining.
As that ball was in the air for so long, you would have a tendency to look for the basket instead of catching the ball first. Weber did the fundamentally sound thing.
Jones.
Boy, Martin, who's been there all day.
Almost had a 3-point opportunity underneath.
Well, they're down 7 now. They've got to force a turnover, and they've got to count on 3s the rest of the way. I thought on that one possession, Jim, they had enough time to go for a 2 inside to Martin, and then try on your 3 later. But they were really set on shooting 3-point shots.
Gibson back in. Martin kept it alive with his 9th rebound. Big performance off the bench. Jackson in also for Buford. 35 seconds to go.
Well, what you think here is Bob Huggins is going to try to just put somebody in there for defense and bring Buford and Van Exel right back into the game. Well, that's taking a gamble with only 35 seconds to go. They're standing on the sidelines, as you can see, not sitting.
Two for Eric Martin.
Martin's been a 50% free throw shooter in the tournament, 55 on the year. Perfect.
Tally comes in. Voskuhl is out.
And Voskuhl gets a standing O from the Michigan faithful. He's been the guy that did it today for him.
Gibson reached in on Rose. Sent him to the line for 2.
See what Bob Huggins is doing. using his 2 offensive performers, using Gibson and Jackson to commit the fouls. Lengthen this game as best he possibly can.
Foul is charged.
When we get back to the point that they will be shooting 2, makes it a little easier.
Go right back in. Rose at the line to shoot 2. I asked Rose and Weber what they were doing 3 years ago when Michigan was at the Final Four in Seattle. And they said on that Final Four Saturday, we both were rooting for Illinois.
Wow.
We thought they were more exciting back then.
You know what's interesting, Jim? We talk about the game coming up with Duke and Indiana and everybody talking about the repeat. But I saw a stat that actually staggered me a little bit. The 5 freshmen from Michigan were all born in '73, which is the last time we had a team repeat.
That's right.
It's hard to believe. Jalen pounds the floor.
The margin is back to 7, 33 seconds to go. Michigan called the time.
Expressions of the Michigan players midway through the second half, and it's continued right now. They're playing with great confidence. And a good job by Juwan Howard to step out, take away the 3.
Buford, high arching shot. Chased down by Martin, gives him another chance. Buford again. Blunt kicks it out to Van Exel. They want the 3.
Oh, and he gets.
Oh, it's a 4-point
That's going to be a
opportunity.
basket. That's going to be a 3. I believe it's going to be a 3 and a foul shot.
Going to be a 4-point opportunity.
Now, nobody has raised their hands.
Yes.
Now they have. What happened, a complete breakdown by Michigan's players when the ball went inside. Corey Blunt did a great thing, and Bosco got caught charging in. And Nick the Quick put it up there. What a smart play by Van Exel.
He reminds me of Nate the Skate Archibald.
Extremely quick. Kenosha, Wisconsin native. But that was a case, you know, if you're Michigan, you've got to think and surround the 3-point area defensively and let them make a 2-point putback.
And he can cut it to 3 with 14 seconds remaining.
And you know what's going to happen on the inbounds pass. Go for the steal and foul.
Oh, big miss.
Oh, they get the ball back.
Under 10.
Nice screen by Blunt.
They don't have to have the 3. Well, now they do. Time running out. It's over. Michigan is playing Monday night for the national championship.
Individual scoring for Michigan. Jimmy King with 17 points. Chris Bender with 16. Jalen Rose with 13. Juwan Howard with 12. Gabe Bosco with 8.
Hey, you know, Billy, with 14 seconds to go after the missed free throw, Cincinnati still had 1 timeout. They could have kicked it inside, perhaps got a quick bucket and a timeout.
And then gone for the foul.